Evening. I hope you guys are doing all right. My name is Ian Coates. Welcome to Bio 1022, Week 12. Yes, you're almost there. This is the endocrine system. This is the hormone system. This is the other way besides the nervous system that the body talks to itself. And as I always say there, please remember there that I'm just going to go straight through. I encourage you to pause, stop, start this video whenever you can, however it suits you. There's lots of movies in here, so please make sure you watch the movies. They're all in kind of sequence and they all work together. There's a whack load of movies there on the last slide there. So have fun with this one. This is great. Let's get moving, shall we? Introduction there to the endocrine system. It assists the nervous system with communication and control of the body. Big time into regulation. Okay, homeostasis there, keeping everything in order. The whole idea there is that the body is an amazing piece of technology, but the outside world is ever changing, and the body has to maintain a certain environment internally, and regardless of what's going on the outside. So welcome to the endocrine system. The cells, tissues, organs are called endocrine glands. We'll get into those right now. There is endocrine, okay, and then there is exocrine, okay. Exocrine glands, they have a duct, a throughway, somewhere, if a substance is going to be produced and injected into the bloodstream, an exocrine gland will have a duct. Endocrine glands do not. They're ductless. Okay, they use the bloodstream to transport these hormones. So basically, an endocrine gland will produce this hormone, and there's no way for that hormone just to go right into the bloodstream. So what happens there is that hormone is just released, and it floats through the interstitial fluid, okay, the spaces there in between cells, and then it just eventually makes it to a bloodstream, and then it's out. Okay, so that's what an endocrine gland is. Secretes hormones. Other glands that secrete substances are called exocrine glands. They have ducts. When we get into the pancreas there's a great one there to show you, okay, gallbladder, these kinds of things. They deliver their products directly to a specific site. Paracrine is cells that excrete hormones to neighboring cells. And you see, we're going to look at the hypothalamus. We're going to a little bit the pineal gland there for sleeping. Pituitary gland, big time. Thyroid, we've already kind of seen that. We'll go back to it there. Okay, remember the parathyroid on the backside there. Here we're talking calcitonin. But we'll also get into a bit of iodine, T3, T4 hormones. There's a little bit of the thymus. We'll get into the adrenal glands there that sit on top of the kidneys. Okay, epinephrine, norepinephrine there. We'll get into the pancreas, which is both an endo and exocrine gland. Testes, ovaries there. Yeah, we'll hit a couple of these there, and as again, we're taking a flat stone and throwing it against flat water, right? Just kind of skipping and gathering what we need to gather. All right? Very good. General characteristics of the endocrine system here. The endocrine and nervous system communicate using chemical signals. Neurons release neurotransmitters. You've seen these there. Serotonin, the acetylcholine, these kinds of things, right? So neurons release these neurotransmitters into a synapse, affecting the postsynaptic cell. Okay, you'll remember there that the neurons there, they don't touch. They don't even touch when they get to a muscle, right? Remember the neuromuscular junction. But endocrine glands release hormones into the bloodstream to specific target cell receptors, right? So when these endocrine glands, they release, okay, these hormones, they have a specific target. Let's say, I'm making this up here, but let's say that, the pituitary releases a hormone there that's going to go to the big toe. It doesn't, but we'll get into where it's going here. And it It may go through the body once, it may go through twice, it may go through 3 times, but eventually it will hit the target cells, okay, that it's intended to. And that's the thing there with the difference there between the nervous system and the endocrine system. As you can see here, the nerve impulse, okay, the message sent via the nervous system is very fast, very efficient, very quick, excellent, does its job, and it's gone. Okay, just as fast. And there's your neuromuscular junction right in there, as we've seen there when if you go all the way back there to week 2. When you're talking the endocrine system, glandular cells secrete the hormone into the bloodstream, travels via the bloodstream, and eventually the target cells, it hits them there. Hormones have no effect on other cells, okay, only for those particular target cells, right? And you'll see there that this is much slower way of sending a message, but the effects can be monumental. Okay, this one here is very fast, nervous system. This one here can take days, even weeks. Okay. Moving on, there's a nice little comparison between the nervous system and endocrine system. I would encourage you to pause the video and have a look at those. Excellent stuff. You just might need that. Control of hormonal secretions. We're focusing on you're looking at nervous system and endocrine. Well, you have a look here. We'll just focus on these two aspects right here, but there's your nervous system and hypothalamus. So you see right here, primarily controlled by negative feedback. You remember that teeter-totter seesaw that's moving back and forth, right? Hormones can be short-lived or last for many days. Hormone secretions are precisely regulated. So you'll see here, the hypothalamus, okay, talks to the pituitary. Okay, in this case here, there's 2 aspects to the pituitary. There's the anterior, there's the front, there's also the posterior as well, which we'll talk about there. But your hypothalamus signals there the anterior pituitary there. Okay, what we call a releasing hormone, which then that hormone signals the intended endocrine gland. Okay, thyroid, thymus, testes, ovaries, whatever. So a hormone to get a hormone, and then so a hormone is sent there to the anterior pituitary. Another hormone sent to the gland itself, which then releases another hormone there to the target action. Okay, you can also have the nervous system. Okay, and in this case here, you're looking at the posterior pituitary. Okay, and the hypothalamus will send a message there to the posterior pituitary, which will then send a hormone there to its intended target cells. Okay, I'm not going to deal with this one too much. If you guys can hit these 2, that would be just lovely. Just getting into the whole idea of what like a ductless versus a duct gland. Ductless endocrine hormones here, and then we have an exocrine that actually has a duct, right? So you'll see here like the thyroid gland, which is an endocrine gland, hormone is secreted, and the hormone just kind of travels. There's no duct, there's no throughway, there's no turnpike, there's no canal. Okay, the hormone is just created and it's released, okay, into the interstitial fluid. You can see the fluid there in between these cells, right? And then it just makes its way to the bloodstream, and away you go. Okay. Idea of an exocrine gland here, a sweat gland. Okay, where something is produced. Okay, and there is a duct that whatever it is that is being released can travel out. Okay, and you can see what's going on here, duct gland there. Okay. Chemical messengers there that influence or control the activities of other tissues and organs. I tell you, some of these endocrine glands, if they ain't working, then you ain't working. Especially the thyroid there, okay? Iodine. We don't need a lot of it. Where is the only known source of continual iodine that we can access? Good little question there. If you said table salt, you are correct. All right, so some of these ones, if they're not working properly, you ain't working properly. There's different kinds of hormones there. There's protein or protein-related substances. There's also steroid-based. These are fat-based, okay, hormones. The target tissues, many target tissues result in more widespread effect. With fewer target tissues comes fewer effects. So the target tissues, where the hormones are headed, very, very important. The receptors there, okay, these are generally on the outside of a cell, and you'll see there that, like a protein-related hormone, okay, there are these receptors there on the outside of the cell, okay, and these are the target cells, right? And that protein-related hormone will come in here, and there's a whole process. There's a nice little movie there to watch. You'll see there that a steroid-based hormone just slides on right through. Okay, and it's all about protein synthesis. What is going on goes right into the DNA and gets the job done. So these the gland aims hormones at a target organ. The hormone activates the receptors. Okay, and they can either be on the cell membrane or within the nucleus as well. If you haven't seen this movie yet, give it a watch there. It just gives you a nice, simple 1-minute overview on the endocrine system there. It's dealing with the pituitary gland, and as we said, we'll get into it. There's the anterior pituitary, adrenal hypophysis, and then there's the posterior pituitary, the neurohypophysis there. More neuro-related, neuron. And you'll see there that the movie's talking about antidiuretic hormone and antidiuretic, right? We don't want water. We need to stop water from leaving the body, right? So that's what this hormone does, and the hypothalamus there realizes there that we need to keep water in, so sends a message there to the posterior pituitary neurohypophysis, and it releases antidiuretic hormone, which then targets there the kidneys, which then stop the release of water, and as well targets the blood vessels and gets them to tighten, vasoconstrict, which increases the BP, and all works in the kidney's favor. So great little movie there. Give that one a watch for sure. Pause it up and have a look. The chemistry of hormones there, as stated earlier, there's different chemistry of hormones. Okay, you'll see there that there's steroid or steroid-like hormones there, sex hormones, adrenal cortex hormones. There's non-steroid hormones, amines, proteins, peptides, glycoproteins there, and you guys can have a look. Amine style hormones there. You've got norepinephrine, epinephrine. Okay. From the adrenals there, we've got peptide hormones, antidiuretic, oxytocin, TRH, somatostatin. We got, have a look there. Okay, we got protein related there. We got parathyroid hormone, prolactin. We got growth hormone, glycoproteins, follicle stimulating, luteinizing hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, steroids. We've got cholesterol. Okay, that's the backbone. Did I show you? I'll show you. Where did that one go? The cholesterol backbone there for the steroid hormones, and they just fly right through. You'll see them right in here. That's what I was trying to find. Okay, there's your steroid. There's your cholesterol backbone. These hormones include estrogen, testosterone, aldosterone, cortisol, and just some different kinds of hormones here, peptide related. There's your steroid, amines there, okay. Parathyroid hormone. Have some fun with these there. Good little movie here showing you the sequence of steroid hormones. You see how it just kind of travels right through. Good little movie there. Pause it and have a look. Hi, hopefully there you had a chance there to look at the movie there. It just details there that exactly what's going on here. The steroid hormone is fat-based, so it can travel right through the membrane. And sometimes it'll encounter a protein there that will carry it through, okay, and help it on its way. But it goes right through the cell membrane, right through to the nucleus there, and you'll see that it what we got, the steroid hormone receptor complex, um, which we have right here, which allows the hormone there to bind right to the DNA where transcription occurs, and that mRNA resulting that just coded there for that stretch of DNA travels outside to the ribosome where the resulting protein is there made because of that hormone. So great little movie there. Have a read of it. Have a look at it. See what's going on here. We'll see it again for sure. Okay. And another kind of hormone there, the sequence of action there for non-steroid. Okay. And you'll see what's going on here is that these guys here are water soluble as opposed to the steroid hormones are not, right? So these guys here can they need help traveling through the blood, but once they get to the intended target cell, they disassociate from that helper protein and travels right through. Not so when we're talking about non-steroid here. These guys here are water-soluble hormones already, so they can travel through the blood, not a problem. Indirectly affect transcription and translation by binding to a membrane surface receptor. Okay, this surface receptor triggers their second messenger signaling pathway. These guys here cannot travel through the plasma membrane. So you'll see here there that, as we said, it's water soluble, so it can't get through the plasma membrane. But what happens there? The first messenger water soluble hormone, okay, goes in right here and hits up with the receptor there, which then creates this whole cascade of other things going on. I'm not going to go too heavy in this. I will never ask you there for adenylyl cyclase and what's going on here, but the whole idea is that there's this cascading effect, right? The hormone comes in here, binding of the extracellular messenger there to these receptor activates a G protein, alpha subunit of which shuttles there and and activates the adenylyl cyclase. And as I said, but basically what you're talking about here is it just brings about the cellular response, okay, and activates a specific protein, does the same thing as what's going on, protein there is made, but you'll see there it's quite different what is happening, okay, as opposed to a steroid hormone, okay, that can just slide right through and go right in, okay. Control of these hormonal secretions. Obviously, we're looking at this feedback control homeostatic. Okay, you've got the negative and positive aspects, which you guys are very familiar with. Biorhythms there, circadian, monthly. Okay, central nervous system. Okay, psycho, neuro, endocrinology. Say that one again. Psycho, neuro, endocrinology. Beautiful, beautiful language. Controlling there by negative feedback. Okay, an example here is levels of cortisol rise in the blood to needed levels. Cortisol shuts off further secretion, okay, of ACTH. We'll get into these guys here and what they do, but you'll see there that these are opposing hormones here. As levels of cortisol drop, inhibition is relieved, and you'll see, okay, the more ACTH, okay, that is released to the adrenal cortex, okay, which then increases there the level of cortisol, and you'll see that these two, and that goes to the anterior pituitary, and they, in essence, turn each other off. Positive feedback here, a bodily change stimulates further changes in the same direction. You guys will remember there, uterine contractions, oxytocin there, released there by the posterior pituitary. Okay, so during labor, the pressure of baby's head in the cervix stimulates the release of oxytocin there from the neurohypophysis. Okay, oxytocin stimulates the uterine walls to get moving, contraction, further increasing pressure there on the cervix. More oxytocin is released until delivery. Okay, now we're going to get into a little bit of the neuro. Okay, the brain, getting into where these hormones are coming. You'll see that there's your hypothalamus, there's your pituitary. That's where we're going to kind of hang out there for a little bit there. Some of this should be familiar there from the Nervous Week. The pituitary gland lies at the base of the brain in the cella turcica. You see this little indentation in here. Okay, consists of two distinct portions there. There is the anterior pituitary, which you'll see right in here, the bigger of the two lobes. Okay, that's the front. Okay, also called your adenohypophysis. And then you have the posterior pituitary, the neurohypophysis. And there's a reason why they have two different names. The posterior, neuro, because it's more nerve. And this one here, the anterior adenohypophysis, now you're talking the hypothalamus releasing hormones to talk to this guy, and then this guy here will release more hormones. But we'll get there in two shakes of a lamb's tail. Have a pause and watch the movie, will you?